time and time again through interruption, they're there to protect law enforcement.
Do they have
ICE
the ability
officers
to arrest?
who are trying to do their job, deporting illegals who were allowed in by the previous administration.
So they cannot arrest and detain citizens of the United States, the uniformed military.
As we've stated, if necessary, in their own self-defense, they could temporarily detain and hand over to ICE. But there's no arresting going on. And you know this better than you're trying to play political games. There's no arresting of U.S. personnel.
Of the U.S. military against members of the protest.
Welcome to React America, where we cut through the political theater and expose the truth the mainstream media buries. If you're new here, smash the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment, because what you're about to hear, it's the truth they don't want you to know. Today, we're breaking down a Senate hearing where Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth stood tall while Democrats tried and failed to paint him as a villain. Let's get into it.
Senator Slotkin.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I said in your hearing, when you had your confirmation hearing, that my biggest concern with you at the helm was the potential use of the military in ways that contradict the Constitution or that taint what I hope we all want, which is an apolitical military. And when I asked you about whether you would accept an order that was actually given to your predecessor, Secretary Esper, Trump's SecDef, to deploy active duty troops against unarmed protesters and to, in Secretary Esper's words, shoot at them, shoot at their legs. You said this was all theoretical. Here we are, a few months later, you've deployed 4,700 troops to Los Angeles and against the wishes of the governor. And my colleague across the aisle was right. It is the first time since 1965 that we have deployed Guard troops without the permission of the governor. In all the instances he laid out, the president had sent in the military to protect protesters, not against the protesters. So you may dismiss it, but I feel like this is a fundamental issue of American democracy. If you love your country and you want an apolitical military, then it should be the last resort, not the first resort in our country to use them.
Senator Elissa Slotkin opened with a dramatic tirade, claiming that sending 4,700 troops to Los Angeles was somehow an attack on democracy. Let's be real. This isn't about troops. It's about Trump. Slotkin and her fellow Democrats are angry that a pro-Trump defense leader is doing what they refuse to do: restore order. The secretary didn't send troops to silence protesters. He sent them to protect law enforcement from organized chaos.
So to get to the non-theoretical, have you authorized the uniformed military to detain or arrest protesters in Los Angeles?
Senator, I would just start by saying you're not a protester if you're throwing concrete
100%.
at law
Arrest those
enforcement
people,
officers.
throw them in the jail, 100%. But what you're doing is something different. Everyone knows this is a political decision, right? So we don't trust that you're using the best interests of the military, certainly, and of democracy on top of that. So have you given the order? That's all I want to know. It's not theoretical. For the U.S. military, not law enforcement. They can arrest all day long. That's their job. Do they have the ability, the uniformed military, to arrest and detain protesters currently today?
Slotkin kept hammering him. Can the military arrest protesters? Yes or no? But here's what she couldn't handle: the truth. The secretary calmly explained. Military troops are there to protect officers, not act as cops. But if they're attacked, they're allowed to defend themselves and detain threats temporarily until law enforcement takes over. That's not tyranny. That's common sense. And let's be clear, this isn't about peaceful protest. It's about violent agitators throwing concrete and firebombs. Any American who loves this country supports law and order, and this secretary isn't apologizing for defending it.
It's a yes or no thing, authority.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given very clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us. Be a man, list it out. Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is a fundamental issue of democracy. I'm not trying to be a snot here. I'm just trying to get the actual, did you authorize them to do that?
all of these orders and what they're sent there to do are public. They are there
so say it. So say it. Yes or no?
I'd like to.
Please, yes or no?
As I've said time and time again through interruption, they're there to protect law enforcement,
do they have
ICE
the ability
officers
to arrest?
who are trying to do their job, deporting illegals who were allowed in by the previous administration.
So they cannot arrest and detain citizens of the United States, the uniformed military.
As we've stated, if necessary, in their own self-defense, they could temporarily detain and hand over to ICE. But there's no arresting going on. And you know this better than you're trying to play political games. There's no arresting of U.S. personnel.
Of the U.S. military against members of the protest. Have you authorized U.S. military cyber tools to investigate people participating in these protests? Yes or no?
Then came the conspiracy bait. Are you using cyber tools to track protesters? Did you approve lethal force? The secretary answered firmly, no. But Slotkin didn't want clarity. She wanted scandal. His response? Calm. Controlled, professional, because that's what real leadership looks like. Not emotional outbursts, not book club gossip from Trump-hating former appointees. Just facts, handled with precision.
Certainly in no way that I'd be aware of.
Okay, that's good. I love that answer. That's great. Have you given the order to be able to shoot at unarmed protesters in any way? I'm just asking the question. Don't laugh. Like the whole country. And by the way, my colleagues across the aisle.
What is that based on? What evidence would you have that an order like that has ever been given?
Giving that order to your predecessor, to a Republican Secretary of Defense, who I give a lot of credit to because he didn't accept the order. He had more guts and balls than you because he said, I'm not going to send in the uniformed military to do something that I know in my gut isn't right. He was asked to shoot at their legs. He wrote that in his book. That's not hearsay. So your poo-pooing of this, it just shows you don't understand who we are as a country, who we are. And all of my colleagues across the aisle, especially the ones that served, should want an apolitical military and not want citizens to be scared of their own military. I love the military. I served alongside my whole life, so I'm worried about you tainting it. Have you given the order? Have you given the order that they can use lethal force against honor? I want the answer to be no. Please tell me it's no. Have you given the order?
Slotkin tried one more time, this time about Iran. She wanted the secretary to admit there's no day after plan if a strike becomes necessary. But once again, she underestimated the man sitting across from her. He responded with exactly what a seasoned leader should say. We have plans for everything, period. That's leadership, peace through strength. Be ready for anything. And don't tip your hand to enemies or activist senators playing politics on camera.
Senator, I'd be careful what you read in books and believing it, except for the Bible.
Oh my God. So your former predecessor, I guess that's not enough for you. Okay, on Iran. I don't think there's a debate. There's like a cat fight going on in your own party about whether to go after Iran. Have you commissioned any day after planning? So any force protection, any use of ground troops in Iran, any cost assessments? Because I don't think we doubt what we can do as a country in the attack. It's the day after with Iraq and Afghanistan that so many of us have learned to be so deeply concerned about. Have you authorized day after planning?
As I've said, we have plans for everything, Senator.
Okay.
Let's call it like it is. This was an oversight. It was a show trial. Slotkin and the Democrats aren't afraid of military power. They're afraid of military power they can't control. They miss the days of woke generals parroting media talking points. But Secretary Pete Hegseth, he's cut from a different cloth. Disciplined, patriotic, relentless, and immune to their circus antics. He didn't give them what they wanted because he answers to America, not the DC press pool. At React America, we see through the noise. We support a military that defends our people, not political egos. And we support leaders who stand tall under pressure, not ones who fold for applause. If you respect the secretary for keeping his cool, defending the Constitution, and standing firm with President Trump, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe now. We'll keep telling the truth, loudly, relentlessly, unapologetically. Because this is still our America, and we're taking it back.